How to install CushCore inserts on your rims. It's easy, I promise. Learn from the guy who makes them, and all insider tips included. I am racing a gravel race this year, a 4-day gravel race, the Trans Rockies Gravel Royale. It's up in BC, and it's going to be a point-to-point. They'll move our stuff from us and we'll camp every night, and I'm actually really excited to do a gravel race. Me. But it's also meaning I need some new equipment. So today I got my new beautiful Knox wheels. These are Skyline 29s. Ooh, I wonder if you can see that in there. Ooh, yeah, kind of. So it's a pretty wide rim for gravel, which I think I'm really gonna like. It's actually the same rim that I use for cross-country racing. And because we all know I take the direct line and I'm not afraid of bashing into rocks, which may be a problem on gravel, I'm gonna go put some CushCore in these. So I run CushCore inserts in all of my bikes at this point. It's kind of been a transition over the last few years. And so come with me. We're gonna go learn a little bit about CushCore and how to install them with the pros at CushCore, because I live in Bend, Oregon, and CushCore is here in Bend, Oregon. So let's go.
Okay.
So this is Dan. Tell us about yourself, Dan.
Yeah, Dan Hallada, CushCore. My title is marketing manager, but I'm also like employee number one. So I've been with the company before the company even existed. One note, maybe you can see in the background, we got this machine shop here. We run 2 businesses out of the one facility. The other business you might not know of is called Craft Moto. We do dirt bike suspension tuning and modifications. So the background of CushCore comes from suspension engineering. Anyway, that's the impetus of CushCore. But today I'm here with my buddy Emma to install some gravel inserts on her new wheels. The first step we're gonna do is installing our valves.
And so Dan's picked blue because it'll match my bike, because that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's why blue, orange, the bike is blue. And we use our valves because our valves have like 3 holes in it. There's of course the traditional hole this way, but there's also additional holes that go laterally. And that's because the CushCore sits on top of the valve. So potentially you could like let air in, but you might not be able to set pressure because of the vacuum. So we have these extra holes that let sealant and air migrate. So yeah, that's why every kit we sell comes with our valves. And that's why you have to use them. So, simple enough. Install the valve. There's a little O-ring grommet here that makes a good seal. And, of course, the little lock nut. And, I mean, one thing I've seen a lot, like people over-tighten these. It just has to be snug. It doesn't have to be tight. You don't have to cramp down on it. And then the next step we do is we install the insert first. We're using a trash can today because it's just a nice height, and it supports the wheel on the spokes, so you're not pushing against the ground, etc. In my personal garage, I just use like a Home Depot 5-gallon bucket just because it's smaller, and I don't have room for a big trash can like this. So anything will work. But those are 2 good suggestions. So the first step is installing the insert on a rim. They're designed to be tight. So this is how I like to do it. Is I'll get it on by hand, enough like that, it's tight, and then I sort of put it in my belly, and I use leverage, pushing down, like that. And then I make sure I go around and get it, you know, kind of square in the rim as much as possible. There's no orientation, it can be any way. There are, I would point out, like these channels here that let air and sealant migrate to both sides of the insert. So there's no worries there. And once you install the tire and sealant, centrifugal force will, once you spin it, sealant goes to both sides where it needs to be. All right, so step one. Step two is we get our tires.
Oh,
and then
those are
we
directions.
double check the rotation because we don't want to have to do this twice. I mean, I know it's that way, but
I know sometimes they're really. Usually they're really close to the. Yeah.
There it is.
I was like, it's usually really close.
And
to
then this is the brake side, right?
Yep.
So then it's that way,
Yep.
right?
You are correct. You are 100%. I know I have to do that too. I have to be like, drivetrains on the road.
Yeah.
I have to like physically pretend like I'm standing on my bike, and I'm like, oh, the rotors are on the left side.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. And if I remember correctly, yeah. So it's that way. And kind of strap the tire over the insert. Now, if it's like a brand new tire, and maybe more common with like a mountain bike tire, you know, the brand new tires are like sticky, and it might like be hard to slide over the insert. This one was really easy. So sometimes I'll spray soapy water on there, but obviously didn't need to do that this time. And then,
Match up my logos.
yeah, I like to match up the logos so it looks totally pro for Emma. I guess I could have made that a little bit easier on myself, but like that, right? Emma, you like the Kenda by the valve, right?
Yes, exactly.
And then,
So pro.
and then this would be the next step. We call it roll and tuck. But basically, you grab the slack of the tire, and I'm gonna end at the valve, and I'll explain that in a second. But like all this slack, and then I'm actually like pushing the insert out of the way, and it'll start grabbing it for us, right? Get it started. And that little spin move kind of explains why the trash can is so convenient. And we do as much as we can by hand. And here's the part where people can make it hard on themselves with installing tires in CushCore. They think they get to this point, it's tight, and they want to use a giant tire lever, but that's not what you need to do. It works smarter, not harder. And the trick is what we call dropping the bead. So I'm going to push the bead down with a tire lever so it slides into the rim center, and then that'll give us slack over here to put a little bit more on.
This trick was so key for me to do this.
Yeah, so see, and even like this, like there has to be enough tension on this side to have that drop down in and stay in. And a little pro tip is I turn the spoon outwards so that if I slip, I don't tear the rim tape. Does that make sense? Yeah, see how I'm just pushing that in, and then we can see that gap where that line is, and that gives us some slack. I can take a couple bites. Right? And then I do that again. That's where people struggle. Like, they just don't understand that trick. And then we do the same thing on the other side. Again, ending at the valve. And the reason why I'm ending at the valve is because if you started at the valve, that little nub of the valve will get in the way of pushing that bead into that rim center. So that's why we end at the valve. That's all. Again.
That trick made it so I could get all tricky tires on my rims.
Yeah.
So brilliant.
And that's it. Then we air it up, pop the bead in place, and then I'll put the sealant in after that. And that's pretty much it.
That's awesome.
Then once it's installed, then I'll use the air compressor. I mean, even with CushCore, the CushCore is pushing that bead on, so sometimes you don't even need a compressor, but that's what we have right now. So I'll kind of set the bead with that, and like as you can see, you know, there's no sealant in it yet, but the CushCore is helping keep that air in there. And then I'll remove the valve core and put the sealant in. Our valves come with this tiny little tool that actually is a valve core remover. It's super convenient. Emma uses Orange Seal.
Good sponsor plug, Dan.
Yeah, well, we love those guys. They've been friendly and good to us since day one. So, yeah, we're pretty stoked on them. Of course, like, you know, there's other sealants. We're compatible with any sealant, but yeah, Emma uses Orange Seal, and yeah, we love those guys. Putting the valve core back in. That's that. And then, I mean, again, it's a cheater compressor. Probably don't need it. If you had a floor pump here, you could do that as well, but. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's simple.
Yay! That's it. It's that easy. So go put CushCore on your wheels. You will be stoked.